The Overcomer series is brought to you by Joniel Alcock, The Gift Curator J.A., Scripture Trinkets by A.P. We see each other many times by our titles, careers, or how we look physically. But behind each face, there's a story to tell about triumph over trial. We can also learn how God has brought us to where we are by His supreme grace and goodness. Let's explore the lives and testimonies of some amazing humans on the Overcomers series. This week on the Overcomers series, we meet the resilient Lupus warrior, Samantha Singh. Samantha was on a path to higher heights in her career until she developed the condition of lupus. As a young woman meeting new health dangers, Samantha started to enter a phase of learning how to fight and stay alive. Here's Samantha's story of how she weathered the storm with the help of family and friends. And listen as she gives hope to those who may have similar concerns about life and wellness. Hi, good night. Welcome to another episode of the Overcomer series. We are in season 2, and tonight I am so pleased to have with us a good friend of mine, Samantha Singh. How are you doing, Samantha? Good night.
I'm good. How are you, Danielle?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And we have quite a bit of things to talk about tonight. She is. Tell them a little bit about yourself, Samantha.
Okay, so good night, everyone. I'm Samantha Singh. As you said before, Jamila and I have been friends for quite a few years because we're both on the Jeffrey Paul alumni together. Um, I'm a marketer by profession. I also do project management as well. I'm currently the gift shop manager at the National Gallery of Jamaica. In case you guys don't know, it's currently open, so you can pop by and have a visit. We're open Tuesdays to Fridays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you can pop by right now. In terms of me, otherwise, other than my profession, I'm an active lupus warrior. I'm a part of the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. I have passion projects that I work on. One you can see behind me, it's called Queens and Rise. I am all about helping women and children, in any way I can, whether it be financially, mentally. It's a brand for building young people, not just women, but men too. Just kind of something I created during the pandemic to just help with people's mental state. Because, as you know, a lot of us struggled through our mental situation last year when we were all locked inside and things
Yes.
were hard for us. People struggled with loneliness, people struggled with financial situations, people just struggled in general with the new norm. So I created this brand to kind of vent for myself through my frustration and to kind of help people at the same time. I think that's about it for now for that.
Yes. And as the viewers may be aware, the entire premise of the Overcomer series was based on looking at challenges that persons face, not just with physical conditions, but issues such as which you have just raised. And it's interesting that during the same time when I decided to produce this series, the first set came out in April and May of 2021. We were doing something very similar. The pandemic, and it still rages, is something that has have had such a fascinating effect in many different ways. And what you just discussed in terms of emotional and mental issues and loneliness and so forth are things that plague us. How did you try to go around some of these things?
Oh, well, for me, I am fortunate to have a very strong family support system. Um, I live with my aunt and I'm very close to like my parents and my sisters. And I speak to them constantly. I mean, there is no day that I don't have them as my support system. I have really good friends, so I have a strong support system. So that is a lot. That's a big part of my coping. I also started to make candles. I started my business in the pandemic too, where I do specialized gift crates. So I make things out of wood. It was something that really helped me to get through, to really discover that I was able to use a drill and create this beautiful box from scratch. And, I created this business in one of the hardest times in my life, which is crazy to me. So it's something I'm really proud of. So that's really how I cope.
Yes, I really appreciate that. And entrepreneurship and living out things in relation to your passion and even building side hustles was one of the things I saw very marked in the pandemic period. And it still continues. And it was due to many different things, wasn't it, Samantha? Some of the times it was due to just people having a reduced income or maybe even losing their permanent jobs. And it is always good that we can still find a way, despite the season, to get some things done and earn an income.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what people had to start doing was, basically snap yourself out of it, is what
Mhm.
I'd say. Is because if you allow the depression to take over, you're gonna stay low, which is pretty much how I live my life since my diagnosis. I was in a depression for a really long time in the first part of my diagnosis. I mean, so much so that I do take antidepressants. So I'm a person who is very open about speaking about mental health. And I think a big part of why people struggle sometimes too is their unwillingness to talk up and, actively address the situation, because when you keep it to yourself, it actually contributes to you being low and staying low. It
Mhm.
is better for you to acknowledge it and address it. Everyone doesn't address it the same way, but you have to address it. Journaling is a thing that helps me as well. You know, I like to advocate for the voiceless. So speaking out is a help for me, but you have some people who are not willing to speak out because they fear ridicule. Because that mental health is something that we do not acknowledge in Jamaica. We look at it as a form of weakness. We look at it as something that is negative. When you do have a lot of people who are struggling, especially in a time like this when things are very hard. I mean, mentally to just live through this pandemic is hard. Our life is so significantly changed. But as I said, you have to acknowledge it, address it, and find ways that help you to cope.
Yes. And one of the reasons I actually brought you on to speak on various things was because I'm aware and know that you have systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE. Most people know it
Right,
just briefly as lupus. And
right.
it, you mentioned that you have depression or had, you're still going through it and you're taking
Yeah,
medication for it.
I still take
How,
medication for it.
how did you manage doing that and also having this condition, which can give you a bit of, low fatigue and low energy as well?
Um, well, to be honest, sometimes I'm in awe of myself, to be honest, because when I see people around me who are struggling either with the condition or with other conditions, I tend to tell myself that I cannot manage to be in my depression because my sister and I, because as I said, I'm very close to my sister, and my sister is a clinical pharmacist. And the other day, I told her I feel like I'm really struggling. And she reminded me that, Sam, as much as you're struggling now, this is still better for you. And this is the best I've ever seen you, because when you were depressed, it was worse. I mean, there were days when I literally didn't want to come out of bed. I didn't come out of bed unless I went to the bathroom or to take a shower. My aunt had to bring my food. I literally wouldn't come out of my room. I would lock up in darkness because I didn't want to address what I was going through. There were days when I'd ask God to not let me wake up tomorrow. Like, that is how bad my depression was. But that was actually killing me, because at that point my lupus was worse. Now, since I've been able to push, because what I tell myself is, if Jesus could come here and live on earth knowing he was going to be persecuted and died in the way that he did, and he made it through and he loved everyone and he was Jesus Christ, what is this little lupus I'm going through? So that's pretty much what I do and tell myself to keep myself going no matter how I feel.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Samantha. Before we go on and I go a little bit deeper in the condition which you have, the main one, lupus, we have to go to a commercial break. This is getting very interesting, this conversation. So, guys, please allow us to go for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more discussions with Samantha Singh.
Hi, my name is Melissa Thompson, and I'm the owner and founder of The Gift Curator. We're a full service online gifting business that specializes in custom and curated gift designs for any occasion life has to offer. Basically, the service that we offer, the individual who is purchasing the gift doesn't at all come in contact with it in terms of packaging or anything. All of that is handled for them, and it can be delivered directly to their loved one's door.
Welcome back from the commercial break, everybody. And I'm still talking to Samantha Singh. The discussion has trended up and down about different things that she's going through and still pushing and being an excellent lady in so many respects. If you miss the beginning, you can scroll back when you get a chance, and you'll see all the different things that she's been doing, despite the things that she's also trying to overcome and also overcoming at the same time. So, Samantha, when was it that you learned that you had lupus? And tell me a little bit about the journey in terms of finding out that you had the condition and then trying to figure out now, how do I deal with this?
Okay, so I first started at no, actually, the first time I heard from a doctor that I could possibly have lupus, it was in about 2015 or 2016. I was in a very stressful, and people tend to use the word toxic, but I suppose it was relationship where I had a partner who was cheating on me, and I was very stressed out about the situation. And stress is something that can affect you mentally, physically, and emotionally. So I was so stressed out about it that it started to take a toll on me. I had done a checkup at the doctor, and he had sent me to do blood work, and he showed me that I was showing signs of possibly having lupus. But it wasn't an official diagnosis because the numbers weren't that bad. So, he told me to do a couple lifestyle changes like exercise and take folic acid and fish oil and make sure I'm taking my vitamins and keeping my immune system up
Mm-hmm.
in order for me not to have that happen to me. Um, I eventually ended that relationship, and I did fall into a depression. Um, and then I was in a really stressful job. So I wasn't taking care of myself as I should. So in 2018, I started actually showing signs of the condition without actually knowing I had it at the time, because I think I actually had it from that time, which was 2018. So my face started to swell. I started to feel joint pains. I started to feel fatigue a lot. So that was in 2018. In 2019, in February, I got pneumonia, and the doctors couldn't figure out how I got it. So I had to admit. My mom actually, she lives overseas. She came down to Jamaica and she carried me with her to America. And my sister started to take me to the doctor, and they started to try and figure out what was wrong with me. Because it was obvious that something was wrong, but because lupus mirrors a lot of other conditions, they basically do a whole system of elimination in order for you to get to the diagnosis. So they test you for all autoimmune under the sun. They test you for HIV to see if it's that. They test you to see if it's cancer. Then test you to see if it's a multitude of other autoimmune before they get to lupus. So I really wasn't diagnosed until my third hospitalization in September of 2019 was when I got my official diagnosis from the rheumatologist, Dr. Stacey Davis in Jamaica. And that was after a multitude of tests. I had to do an MRI, I had to do a CAT scan, I had to do an ultrasound. And we all know these things cost money. Like I recently just paid off my Andrews bill, which was $2.2 million. And I had to take a payment plan. And I
Point
did
of
actually go
information.
to, yes,
2.2 million. You
yes,
have a
two point
critical
two
illness
million.
insurance policy at the time. Critical illness
And that's the thing. I mean, the insurance policy don't necessarily cover all of that. So
mm,
to be honest, it wasn't even really my insurance policy that covered that. It was multiple family members helped me.
mm.
So I am fortunate enough to have family members who support me, and I was able to pay from my way when I was able to work again because I couldn't work for the vast majority of 2019 and 2020. So, I am fortunate to have a very supportive family. And I have very good friends as well who were there for me in ways I cannot even comprehend. So, that's pretty
Um,
much
I'm smiling
how that
because
is.
I think many people don't understand sometimes not only the burden of a condition that somebody may have and then may need to get some assistance with it, but the struggles and the pressure of the financial part of it, as well as
Yeah.
how you feel because of this strain. So I can imagine you probably feel probably guilty now you're not able to pay everything and you're a burden on your family members and the doctors who have to
Oh,
take
I go through that
and the stress of
constantly.
it came down more on you. No, so and probably even worsened
No,
how
I
you
go
feel
through it
about the condition.
constantly
Yeah.
because I mean, even my dad would be like, Sammy, I don't mind helping you because you're my daughter, you're my baby, because I'm the last child. And even my big sister, I'd be like, why, Sherry, I really feel bad. I feel like a burden on the family. She's like, come on, you're my baby sister. That's what family is for. So, my parents would constantly remind me, what you think that you're here for? You're ours. You're our blood. You're flesh of our flesh. You're blood of our blood. We are there for you. So, you need to stop feeling bad. Even my friends, like when they do stuff for me, they're like, come on, Sam, this is what friends are for, and you're a good friend to us. It wasn't out of that experience, it was out of that experience that I realized how much my friends really loved me because they're like, you have always been there for so many people to allow us to be there for you. And, that really made me feel better. It actually really helped me get through some of my lowest moments where I never did things hoping to get things in return. I just always did things out of, my own feeling that I need to help, because I love to help people. But it was out of that I really discovered that, you know, life is really a circle. You know, you receive your blessings when you bless people, and I always tell people I'm blessed to be a blessing. So that's a motto that I live by.
Wow, Samantha. I'm basically throwing all preparations out the window because now that you have mentioned these things, most people don't know. And I guess because I am very science based and you went through the condition, that most people who have lupus or find out that they have it, a lot of times it's way after the symptoms and the stuff have happened because doctors take a while based off the nature of this autoimmune condition. Isn't that so?
Yeah, which is
Right.
what I mentioned before. It took a process of elimination in order for you to get to the diagnosis. So a lot of people, it takes years for them to actually know that it's lupus. There's even cases of unfortunate events where people, it is not until they died that they realize that it was possibly lupus. So it is a very tricky and unforgiving condition.
Wow. How do you think it's changed you? You mentioned the stresses and the strains of it, but do you think you're a bit more closer to your family members because you had to go through something together? Um,
Yes,
what do you
it
think?
definitely made me closer to my family members. We what it really taught me was to value what it is that you have and show appreciation. So there is a practice that we do now as family members that every time when we speak to each other, and even some of my friends I do it with them, when I'm speaking to them, I tell them I love them at every opportunity I get. So literally when I'm coming off the phone, I'll say, all right, mommy, talk to you later. Love you. All right, daddy, love you. Because it really, after coming to because I actually had a near death experience. My second hospitalization, I actually went into sepsis. And for people who doesn't know what that is, that was when all my organs were failing and they had to basically resuscitate me in the ER at Andrews. So, they had to, it was like a movie, like I literally was drifting off into, I was dying. And, my friend was there, was like, kicking my face and said, Sammy, don't sleep. You need to stay awake. You need to stay awake because at that point I didn't even know I was just being miserable because I felt tired. And I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. You guys leave me alone. And I was actually drifting off, and it wasn't until after that experience that my sister actually explained to me what was happening to me. And, after that near death experience, I started to just say, you know what? I'm going to live my life knowing that I have no regrets. So I tell my parents that I love them. I Not just my parents, just anybody who I love and appreciate. I express myself and let you know this is how I feel when I'm feeling it. If I get up sometimes and just be like, you know what, I feel like going to do X and Y. As long as I can afford to do it, I do it. I'll just drive out to the country for the day. Just call my friend and be like, oh, let's go to Ochi today. So I just try to live in the moment based on how I'm feeling, enjoy my life because you only have one life to live.
My gosh, Samantha, I know these things about you, but not the gory details that you're sharing me here. I say gory, but the expressions on your face show to me that you are still enjoying life and probably have even uh, realized just how much more it means still. Isn't that so?
Yeah, it definitely means a whole lot more because what my condition taught me is that life is fleeting and tomorrow is really not promised to you because literally if my neighbor didn't use her key and get into my house the morning when I got admitted that same day, I would have slept off in this house and died. I would have died. It was only because my mother was calling me and she wasn't getting me on the phone. And my friend had come to look for me the night before, and she saw that I wasn't feeling well. And she called my mommy and she's like, Auntie, I don't think Sammy's doing well. So my mother was calling me the next day, and I really didn't hear the phone ringing. But because my neighbor has a key to my house, because at the time I was living alone, my neighbor has a key to my house. She used her key. She came in, and I was sleeping away on my bed. She had to come and be like, "So come, Sam, wake up. Something wrong." And then she said, so she called my mommy and she's like, Mrs. Singh, Sammy don't look good. So mommy said, "Care her to the hospital." And it was that. So I will always tell my neighbor, my sister, my friend, my two friends who carried me, and my parents that they saved my life, literally, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that unit of support.
Samantha, thank you so much for sharing about that specific, basically near death experience. But
Yeah.
before we go on, we have to go for another commercial break. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as we go off, we want to continue to reflect on how important life is. You know, when I started Overcomer series, it was in a way to try to show people how everybody goes through different challenges, and that those who are going through it and have overcome and done some things with their life can become a beacon of light for others who may be going through similar things. So let's go for a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back to more, uh, wow, wonderfully illuminating information from Samantha Singh. Soon come. You can become a part of the Overcomer series. Ready to get in on the action?
Look out for giveaways each week from March 11 to May 6th, 2022. We will also be gifting prizes from Scripture Trinkets by AP.
If you are a follower on social media, you may win cool Overcomers gear. We'd also love to hear your story of overcoming. You'll be a winner of an amazing gift box from the gift curator JA. What has Christ done for you that you thought you would not be able to accomplish? What have you been able to achieve against all odds? Tell us in a video of less than 1 minute and hashtag Overcomers Challenge, or email it to us at johnnyljrcock@gmail.com. Further details on social media. Remember, with Christ in the vessel, you can smile at any storm. Here's to a great season of overcoming. So welcome back, everybody. As you can imagine, I'm having a great time speaking to Samantha about some of the issues that she's faced and how she has continued to be just a wonderful lady despite. Yeah. And
I
where we are at
try.
now, you're doing very well. Don't Yoda in the what is it, Star Wars thing always says there is no try. There is only do, or something like that. And I think you have been a great example of how moving forward you can still do some things despite the challenges that you face. And the condition of lupus, can you tell the audience a little bit more about it? I presume now you have, you know, gone through a bit of period of time with it and know a little bit more about it. So maybe you can share a little bit about that, as well as just some information about where people can go to, test themselves if they feel that they're having symptoms in relation to it and so forth.
Okay, so the hardest part about having lupus for me is the mental. Um, People would assume that it's the physical, because it is hard physically, because you're forever changed physically. Because I mean, Johnny can tell you, I was not this size when he knew me. I was much smaller. But because of the medication, including steroids, that caused me to put on a lot of weight. And even this cheek thing that I have. where I'm a little swollen. That's a part of lupus, my chin as well. I mean, you tend to get a lot of swelling when you have lupus. And just the mental knowledge of knowing that you have to take 15 to 20 pills every day in order to cope, that is hard. So you take, so a normal person like Janine and other people, your immune system functions normally. While someone with lupus, I don't produce enough white blood cells in order for that allows my body to fight an infection. So what happens is that my body basically fights against itself instead of fighting against the condition. The like a virus or whatever. So I have to take medication in order to survive. So that is hard. But there are some days when I really don't want to swallow that many pills. And I mean, people who struggle to swallow pills, it would be hard for you to have lupus and know that every day you have to wake up and take these pills. Because when my friends see me take my medication, they're like, I don't know how you do this. You're so strong. And I said, I can't think about it because if you think about it, that's going to make it harder. I just have to live my life and cope because I know if I don't take it, I'll feel worse. So the mental part is the hardest. In terms of, I don't think there's any real way for you to know how to diagnose or that you have lupus. What you can look for is signs. Lupus comes with a lot of fatigue, as I said before, swelling. There's joint pain. There's nausea. There's insomnia. Um, there's mental health situations like displacement. That's when you go into a place where where you feel confused. So you feel confused about what is happening in that moment. You also have memory problems. So there are times when I'll struggle with remembering things, and it could be something that happened recently because my lupus affects my brain. That doesn't happen for everyone. So my lupus actually affects my brain, my lungs, my heart, and my kidneys. Other people's lupus can affect their skin. They'll have hair loss. They have arthritis. They have um, fibromyalgia. That is, yeah, I don't really remember what that is, but it comes with a lot of. You have dryness of the mouth. You have other people have different things. I don't have those conditions. I have what I said before, where it affects my internal organs. Um, where you can get information is we do have a foundation. I am an active member, the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica. If it is that you're struggling with your diagnosis or anything, you can reach out to me directly. You see my handle there. It's Sammy Sweet on Instagram. I'm always willing to help. Also, there is an office in New Kingston that you can visit. It's on the same road that Starbucks is on. I don't remember that road. I think that's Dominica Drive. Um, so you can reach out. When you Google it, you'll see the handle for the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica, where you can email, you can call them, or reach out to them on social media.
I really appreciate all this information. And we have below the screen some of the information in relation to the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica, the telephone number, email. They have a website as well,
Yes, there is a website. I think it's
and so forth.
lupusfoundation.org, I think.
Right.
lupusfoundation.org.
And there are social media related places that you can go as well. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of information. But all those medication, give me an idea, for example, of the type of medications you take. Obviously, you mentioned corticosteroids, but what sort of medications are these? And I can imagine the cost of all of these things that you have to take.
Well, fortunately, at first, um, it did cost a lot. But since my diagnosis,
The nature.
so I actually, if I have to purchase my medication, it is almost 50,000. But because it's covered under the NHS, Lupus is covered under the NHS, I actually get most of my medication from DrugServe. So what I do is submit my prescription to DrugServe, get that time, and then I'll go back and pick up my medication. They have an app as well, but I haven't been able to use the app from the other day. I don't really know why. I think I really need to inquire about it. But for the most part, every month I just go to drugstore, submit my prescription, and then I'll pick it up the next day, which makes my cost go down significantly. I'll probably spend about 6 grand on the medication that I don't get at drugstore.
Wow.
So that is pretty much how that part goes. My different medications serve different things. So I take something for my heart because I have tachycardia along with my lupus, which is an irregular heartbeat. So I'll literally feel like my heart is about to burst out of my chest when I do something that is strenuous. And that could be something very simple, like going up 2 flights of stairs, which for you that is nothing, but for me, I literally go out of breath and struggle. So I take Verapamil for that. I take 3 different pressure medication because I have hypertension as well along with my lupus. The lupus comes with other lovely little nuggets as well, because lupus, you have other conditions as well that can affect you. So I take 3 hypertensive medication. I take steroids, which helps my immune system. I take 2 other medication like hydroxychloroquine, and I had to stock up on it. I was fortunate enough to be able to stock up to about 5 months worth of hydroxychloroquine because I didn't want a case where I ran out. So between my friend who works at a pharmacy, my neighbor who is a pharmaceutical drug rep, and my sister, I was able to stock up on 5 months worth of hydroxychloroquine, which without that, it can be detrimental because that actually treats my lupus itself. So that's great. What I hate about the medication is that while they're helping me, they're destroying me as well because the hydroxychloroquine, which also people call it HCQS, it destroys my eyes. So it helps my lupus and destroys my eyes at the same time. The hypertensive medication, long term usage of that will eventually result in things like I'll have joint stiffness and it will possibly affect my joints in the future where I'll have pain and hard, have it hard to walk, like when I reach to my 60s and 70s. So, these things, they help you and they kind of mess you up at the same time. So, and then, the steroids, which people usually know about steroids, it makes you gain weight. So,
Yes, that is a long list of different things. And yes, just only imagine, because me, the most I've ever taken is for migraines mostly. And I went through a bout of depressive symptoms myself.
I still have to take vitamins on top of my medication. So that's why the pill amount is so high.
Do you have to take painkillers as well?
Because like I'm talking to you right now, I'm feeling a stiffness in my feet and my back is on fire. So I basically live my life in pain. Like there are some pains that don't go away. So people
Oh.
always say to me, say, "You're so full of life and everything," but they don't even know I push past my pain in order to feel normal. So I
Mm-hmm.
tell people, please do not take your life for granted
Mm-hmm.
because, I don't think back in the day I really valued being normal in quotation. And it's now when I'm not so normal anymore, I was like, oh my God, I missed my years in my 20s and my teens when everything was so great. I mean, but now it's like crazy because right now, as I said, my foot is cramping me, and I was like, I have to live with this every day. There's sometimes when my feet are so swollen, it is hard for me to put it in shoes, and some people just don't get it. So I just try to tell people that you need to be grateful for the fact that you are still able to do certain things that are so simple, what
Mhm.
some of us struggle to do.
Struggle to do. So this is what I'd like it to do. You have spoken about the NHF, which covers a lot of the drugs, and DrugServe, the pharmacy that assist with the government agency there. You have spoken about the Lupus Foundation of Jamaica, but and you have given a lot of advice in terms of mental and emotional health as well. But is there anything else that you want to share about what persons can look to for hope who may be struggling with this condition, and any other person that they can reach out to?
So to answer your question, for people who are struggling, my advice is don't suffer in silence. You might not want to share as publicly as how I have chosen to share, but do find a way to communicate with people who you trust, or if you don't have that sort of support, there are people like me who are willing to help. There are members of the foundation who are willing to be there for you. I mean, we have support groups where we talk to each other about our feelings. So don't suffer in silence. That's my advice to persons who are struggling. Speak about it, journal, find things that help you to cope. I'd like to say something to people who don't have it and you come across someone who has it. Be kind and don't forget that it doesn't show on our face, because to some people I look normal. I just look like nothing is wrong, and because I live in such a way that I don't allow my condition to defeat me, don't say things like, but you don't look like you have lupus. I don't have it tattooed on my forehead, but I do feel it in my body. So be kind. And when you hear someone has lupus, because sometimes multiple times when I tell people I have lupus, the first thing they say is, I know someone who died from it. Please do not do that. It is hard enough for us to know that we have something that can kill us. But to have you say the first thing that you said to us is, I know somebody who died from it? Yeah. It doesn't help, because even in this pandemic, there was a young lady who had lupus and she got COVID and she died. I mean, when I realized that she had lupus, I literally felt so sad because I was like, oh my God, the reality sets in that this COVID thing can really kill me. So I have to be extra careful. So be kind. That is what I would say to someone who doesn't necessarily understand it, but you get exposed to it. Be kind. And what was the other part? I think there was another part to this
I
question.
was just trying to find out, apart from what we have mentioned before, what words you would give to persons to give them hope who may be struggling from the condition. So you mentioned what persons shouldn't say to somebody who
Right.
has lupus, but maybe you should say what they should say.
Well, I would say, if you meet someone and they have lupus and they're struggling, just give them. For me, when I don't know what to say, I just, give a hug or just say, I'm here for you. That's all I do. Or, I know it's hard, but I can't imagine what you're going through. You know, just be kind, as I said, and just kind of be sensitive to the fact that what you face is really, because some people, I'll hear people complain about something silly like, oh my God, my shoe is burnt. I can't go this place because my shoes burst. And I'm just like, really? My shoes burst? I can't go there, no? Ladies, you can't feel compassion for you. Your situation is silly compared to what I go through. So you'll find me, I mean, I think sometimes when it comes to certain little things, I know that we all go through different struggles, but I tend to be a little cold when people are being overly dramatic. I when people are being creating mountains out of molehills, I'm just like, look here, I struggle every day to survive. To have me feel sorry for you is gonna be hard. So, I just kind of, for me, I ignore those people, and when I do have the opportunity to talk to them, I'll say, be grateful for the fact that your biggest problem is something so minor.
Blessings, Samantha. So, gratefulness is the name of this episode, I think I would call it. And we will go for another quick commercial break. And right after, we'll wrap up and have one or two other words with Samantha Singh.
Scripture Trinkets by AP for all your unique tokens and gifts. Check out our line of card trinkets, keyring trinkets, fridge magnets, Christmas ornaments, custom trinkets and plaques, and much more. Go ahead, pick the perfect gift and share the word boldly.
So, welcome back. We've been talking with Samantha Singh, who is a brilliant lady, entrepreneur, marketer, many things bundled in one. And she has been discussing so many issues. She's a lupus warrior, and she wants, right at this present moment, to pray for those who also may be going through the condition as well. Would you like to go ahead, Samantha?
Okay, so let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come before you today, I just like to bless every single person that is watching this Overcomer episode. I would just like to praise anyone who is struggling with any autoimmune, namely lupus, right now, Lord. Let them know that we are not alone. That people like me and other members of the foundation, we are willing to be there for them as long as they reach out to us. We have no problem. They can contact us through the Lupus Foundation. We are stronger together. Let them know, Lord, that they are not alone and they can always reach out to you because you are our mighty healer, Lord. You are always there for us no matter what. We are never not enough for you. We are always perfect and ready to be a part of your world because you make yourself so available to us. Be with us now, Lord, as we are facing such a troubled time now with all that is happening with the pandemic and all of the unkindness that is happening in Jamaica, Lord. I want you to just guide and protect us through this very awful situation that we are constantly faced with every day. Lord, please just touch the hearts of those who are facing things like depression and mental health issues, Lord. Let them know that they are not alone. You are always there for them, and there are people who are willing to help. They just have to just speak out, find someone who they can trust. Speak to you, Lord, because once there's life, there is hope. Thank you for all the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, and thank you for giving us the opportunity and the gift of living every day. All these mercies we ask in your name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Samantha. You have been an awesome guest. Is there anything
Thank
else that you
you.
want to leave with our audience before we
Um, well, I mean, I really hope that this episode can help shed some light on people learning more about, lupus as a condition. And I touched on multiple things. I touched on mental health and depression. Um, but I just want people to know that they're not alone. Um, I will encourage you to, support my small business if you can. It's called Essential Thoughts and Things. It
I'll
is
put
essential underscore
information
thought.
below here so that they see
Right.
it.
So then you're going to put the link under this episode. And I do personalized gift packages and event management and candle making. I do a lot of things because these things actually help me to cope with my condition. There are ways for me to relax. I make bouquets as well. So, I mean, that's about it. I really hope that this helps people because that is why I do these things. To, let my voice be heard and let people have hope. So,
Thank you so much, Samantha. This has been a beautiful episode. Guys, please do tune in the next week where we will feature another guest. You will actually see the promo for them right after this section. Blessings, everybody. Please have a great night.
thank you for having me.
Here's what's coming up next on the Overcomers series, Season 2, Greater is He.
You say it yourselves. It is the issue of one of the things I did was neuroscience and the Bible. The whole issue of DNA,
Yeah.
change in the brain, bam, 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 bam. You have to do it yourself. And if I don't say out of my mouth those words, my molecules in my body will not hear it and will not receive it. I go to the doctor and the doctor says, I've had cancer twice. The doctor says, well, I did all these tests and blah, 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 and have cancer. I've had cancer of the brain and cancer of the larynx, right? Have cancer of the larynx, and this is what you need to do. No, the doctor said it. My molecules heard it, but they don't take instructions from anybody outside of me. They are now waiting on me to say, oh my God, I have cancer of larynx. That one thing tells them, okay, this factory is going to shut down soon. So let's just help the process of shutting down. Do you know that's what happens? I studied this on the microscope.
Join us next week for another inspiring and thought-provoking discussion. And remember, you are an overcomer because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world.